I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Welcome to Midnight Reel Podcast. We're changing some things up on you guys. Stay tuned in the next minute, and we're gonna let you all know all about it. To my left, and where his proper spot is, it's the one and only Scott Phillips.
What's going on, guys?
And back with us after taking a week siesta.
Yeah, siesta.
Yeah.
That's what I took.
That's right.
Sleeping the whole time.
Is Patrick, the night bat, Sir Patrick,
Sir Patrick.
as he was knighted in the first episode.
Yep. For all you guys listened to the last episode, you all know that Patrick said screw everybody, and that's why he wasn't here last week. Patrick wasn't here, so he can't deny that that's what actually happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we're going with. It's our story, and we're sticking to it.
I like it.
I have no defense at all.
Nope.
No defense at all.
But like I said, we are going to be changing a few things up. We normally, our episodes normally run about an hour and a half-ish, give or take a few minutes. What we've decided to do is, unfortunately, people are missing out on something that we were really excited to share, was the Wonderfully Bad movie of the week. And we understand why, people have drive times, don't have all the time, an hour and a half to spend, and that's fine. But we really want everybody to experience all that we really want to share with everyone. So what we're deciding to do is do shorter episodes, and possibly maybe multi-episodes per week. We're still kind of in the middle of discussing on how we want to go forward with it. But right now, we are planning on doing Wonderfully Bad episode, and then our normal main topic where we review movies. Like the next one we want to do is It, as it is a remake to the classic It miniseries with Tim Curry. I know there's been a lot of talk about It, so I think we really want to kind of weigh in on that, give our thoughts, opinions, reviews. But like I said, we're still kind of tweaking a few things here and there to kind of give the best
Listening
content
experience.
to you. Listening experience, yeah. So that's kind of where we're heading as far as plans go.
Pleasure for your ear holes.
That's right. So
Yeah.
we're planning on keeping it about 30 minutes. This one maybe run a few minutes longer just because we kind of wanted to let everyone know what was going on, and so that they're not confused on why the sudden change, and kind of what to look forward to going down the road.
And always, we want everybody's input. So if you guys do want longer episodes, or you do want multiple episodes, or any of that kind of stuff, feel free to comment on our page and let us know. We'll definitely going to listen. It's still a learning experience for everybody, and we'll figure it out.
And if you have ideas on other segments that you would like for us to include, by all means, let us know. And we're happy to take feedback and maybe new ideas that maybe we haven't thought of yet, or whatever it may be. Anyways, so this episode is going to be our Wonderfully Bad. And if you haven't checked out our Wonderfully Bad movies, we've had, I think our first week was Kung Fu. Was it the Kung Fu?
First week was Sharknado.
Sharknado. Our first week was Sharknado, so you can kind of go back and listen to that. Our second episode was talking about Kung Fu, the really bad Kung Fu movies, like Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer.
Shaolin Soccer, I think.
Shaolin Soccer was the movie.
It was the overall movie.
Yeah, but we brought up Kung Fu Hustle, Kung Fury, Kung Pao. Bunch of great ones. Yeah,
you should definitely watch that. But episode 4 was Big Trouble in Little China. And if you have not watched that, we challenge you yet again. Do yourself a favor and watch that.
And tell us why it's the greatest movie of all time.
Unless you're my wife. In which case you're going to go do something else.
Oh, jeez. So anyways, we're going to be talking about...
I see you shiver with anticipation.
Army of Darkness. Darkness Brothers. Darkness Brothers.
For those of you that don't know, this would be Evil Dead 3.
Sort of.
Yeah, kind of. They actually wanted to call it Medieval Dead, which would have been classy.
Yes.
But studios, have to have their say, their choices, their decisions. Some bad, some good. But Army of Darkness, the third one, in the series of The Evil Dead, and it was great
It was bad.
in such a great way.
In such a great way.
Such a
But
great
it's bad in a way that it's. I mean, it's even I can't even say it.
satirical.
Satirical of
you.
itself, and Evil Dead, and
Well, like,
You know.
I mean,
It get to the point. The premise was, I mean, you essentially have the first Evil Dead that comes out, and
very serious in nature.
it was, and you wouldn't believe that from watching it.
No.
That it's hard to fathom that they're even trying to make a serious movie, but the word is that's what it was. First Evil Dead was supposed to be a good horror movie, and more people found it humorous than anything else. So, Evil Dead 2, they kind of did a lot of the same stuff, but they wanted to make it. They went into it with the idea of this is going to be a comedy.
A horror comedy.
Like a horror comedy, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Coming to Army of Darkness, I think was when they made the mentality of we're basically gonna just now satire ourselves and kind of go even more over the top than we think the first two could have ever done.
I mean, if you thought like the slapstick with in Evil Dead 2 where his hand gets possessed and he ends up having to saw it off was ridiculous in nature, you just wait till he gets pulled down by skeletons and he gets slapped by a whole bunch of like
Literally slapstick.
it's literal slapstick from these random skeleton hands that pop out of the ground.
He goes straight Three Stooges with undead skeletons because that's, you know, the undead rises from the grave. The first thing they want to do is poke you in the eye and pull your mouth open and
or pick your nose,
punch you in the face. Like,
or you know, it's something straight out of the Three Stooges, but it's such a great movie to watch. It's so much fun. They still have all the classic elements that make Evil Dead, but obviously it's still very lighthearted in nature. I mean, when you have a car that has a basically like helicopter propeller at the front, just mowing down armies of skeletons.
in medieval times.
In medieval times, taking into place. This is all taking place way in the past.
Knights and castles and moats and a car with a helicopter blade to mow them all down.
That's right. How you pull that off, I don't know. But it's Ash. It's Ash.
You know, the new upgraded mechanical power hand that he managed to forge in the fire in medieval times that somehow
works perfectly,
Yeah.
better than
able
current.
able to open and close as he wants and make any motions he needs to.
It still has the strength to crush pure metal.
Crush goblets.
Yeah.
Just straight up crushed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to go wrong. I mean, it's Ash.
It is. Yeah, I mean, this.
I mean, Bruce Campbell pretty much makes the movie.
He does.
Like he is amazing. Every line is said with like utter. It's like the perfect blend of deadpan and comedy and it's great.
Yeah, I actually just watched an interview with Bruce Campbell earlier, and that was an old interview when they were premiering for Ash vs. Evil Dead, the new show on Stars, and he was talking about how it didn't matter the 7 years he did on Burn Notice or any of these other movies that he did. The only question he ever got asked every time was, when's the next Evil Dead? And he's like, I've done all this other work in my career, and that's all everybody cares about. And he sees it as both, you know, a great thing and a bad thing at the same time. You know, he wants the recognition for the other work that he's done, but he realizes that something he made when he was really young and really new to filmmaking and acting, for all that matter. I mean, he'll straight up admit that he did not know how to act, and that's part of why Evil Dead became a comedy, was he was legitimately trying to act scared and afraid, and it just did not come out that way. So he also appreciates, you know, how something that could have been such a torrential failure has become such a huge thing over the years.
I mean, it really is a part of pop culture. I mean, even if you have never seen it, you've heard of it at least.
Oh,
you've heard.
yeah.
Everyone's heard of Evil Dead, regardless. They know. They kind of know. Oh, it's something that's like a comedy, but you kind of don't know what it actually is about or anything like that.
I mean,
And
Bruce
that's-
Campbell himself is renown, just mainly because of those major roles that he had. I mean, they made songs about him now.
Yeah, and I mean, there. What it could also be, and kind of just slide into this wonderfully bad movie, is My Name Is Bruce.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
That movie is about Bruce Campbell
Playing Bruce Campbell
as Ash, kind of.
Yeah.
To give you guys a quick mini synopsis of this movie,
It's very meta.
yeah, it is very much so. It's, demons and stuff arise and people go find Bruce Campbell to fight them off because he has played Ash in Evil Dead, so they figure he knows how to fight demons, even though he is just Bruce Campbell. So it is a great.
Yeah, because I think they even pick him up at a Comic-Con or something.
Yeah.
And because he's signing autographs. He's like, whatever, kid. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I mean, that's also part of why I feel like renaming this to, Army of Darkness was a weird decision, because like you said, everybody's heard Evil Dead, and so now with the new show, Ash versus Evil Dead, all that stuff.
Well, I'm sure that had to do with studios, because they knew that Evil Dead was quote unquote a failure or quote unquote a flop or whatever. They didn't want to carry on the legacy of we're just going to make another one of these, and
I mean, it's possible as well. I mean, there could have been a decision of,
or maybe it was just Sam Raimi even lied to the studios saying, "Oh yeah, I'm making a completely different movie."
No, I mean, that's what I was saying, is that, but that's what I read there, is Sam Raimi wanted to call it Medieval Dead.
Right.
So kind of a play on it, because it's the medieval times and all that stuff. And it was the studio that came back and shot that down and said no, and the studio renamed it to Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
So it is a little weird. I mean, I'm sure with, all the powers of the internet, you guys could go out there and figure out why, and, comment on our page and let us know why they decided to call it Army of Darkness. Speculations galore, but yeah, I feel that maybe it was just, it could have been one of those, you get to Evil Dead 3 and you have that just immediate sensibility of, oh man, it's another one. I don't really want to just, how long are they going to keep dragging this out?
Well, in the interview the interview you brought up, they talked about one of the biggest issues was the fact that the Evil Dead Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness all had different backing.
Yeah, studios.
So different studios working on it. So I forget who had the first one, but Universal had the second one, Evil Dead 2, and then MGM got the rights for Army of Darkness, I believe is what he was saying. Mm-hmm. So, obviously...
So there could have been just studio issues, legal issues, whatever. They weren't allowed to use anything closely related to Evil Dead. Who knows? But
or they were trying to make it their own staple.
Well, I think it eventually got to the point when it was coming out on VHS or the hundreds of versions. Army of Darkness. The beauty of Army of Darkness is that there are so many versions of it because they've added different endings and all sorts of stuff. Because there's so many special editions and stuff like that. It's almost like Blade Runner-esque because there's so many different.
Oh yeah.
We added this scene or we added that scene. So.
Are we positive that most of our listening audience knows what a VHS is?
Yes, because they're our age.
Yeah.
They've got to be.
We don't have a lot. There might be that one.
That's still
might be that one.
It's still always going to be the fun play for
For a second, I thought you were going to say Blade Runner. I'm like, well, they're advertising the sequel it's like crazy.
Which I am really excited to see, by the way. I'm really excited. I'm nervous, but the fact that
I'm assuming
Harrison
Ford's going to die in it because I'm pretty sure he's doing Indiana Jones again only to kill off Indiana Jones.
That's the thing.
I'm pretty sure he's just killing all of his characters.
If he follows the path of what happened in Star Wars. He's just gonna go into every major role he's done and kill himself off.
Oh man, just
in a figurative plane crash.
Oh man!
At the very end, Blade Runner, he comes out alive and some random guy just shoots him and why? Why did that happen? And at the end, Harrison Ford's just had to happen. I had to die.
If he dies at the end of a boomstick, then this whole conversation is just the most glorious thing that has ever happened.
You just see Bruce Campbell walk into frame.
Hey
guys,
from S-Mart, $199.95 in the hunting department.
Getting back, I think one of the things I want to talk about with Army of Darkness is the use of practical effects versus their stop motion.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now,
it's like night and day.
well, I mean, obviously, I've watched a ton of old movies, right? Like
Like Harryhausen style.
like, well, not even just that. You know, when they started really pushing that claymation, like not the clay, well, I mean claymation, stop motion stuff.
Yeah.
Like you have the classic Clash of the Titans with
That's
the Crack.
Harryhausen, yeah.
Yeah, but
Harry
then you also
Harryhausen.
had Sinbad, both like the Golden Voyage and the Eye of the Tiger, which I showed you tonight.
Right.
Both of those were very much stop motion. A lot of those like big fantasies had a lot of those stop motion, so it made sense, especially because, I mean,
Yeah,
It's-
that's Ray Harryhausen did all of those.
he did all of those.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
That's what I was saying. I was like,
yeah.
yeah, he did all those
I
stop
mean,
motion.
that's
I didn't
Sinbad,
realize he had done all the other ones as well.
Sinbad, yeah, all of that stuff.
that's a pretty big staple to have. That was, I mean, those were game changers.
They
Yeah.
were.
At
I
the
mean,
time.
the fact that, and I mean, don't get
Jason-
me wrong.
Jason the Argonauts, he did.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a really good one.
I mean, that's basically like he was known as the guy to use for.
I mean,
all
yeah,
of
that was the Matrix of that era. You know, it just changed it.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, obviously, if we look at those effects now, they're awful. I mean, they're absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You only watch it because of nostalgia. That's the only reason why you bear through some of those scenes, because of nostalgia. But I mean, it is extremely entertaining to watch when you have these random skeletons that were obvious puppets that are just being waved when they're actually like being used without the stop motion. So you just see them like wavering back and forth as they're trying to like use these puppets while they're fighting the person. But then obviously it switches to the stop motion and they're much more animated. And then
I
you
mean-
can clearly see the difference of when they overlaid it with the character. Even on like SD, you can tell the major
Well,
difference.
I'm saying that you go from the like in a fluid like run motion, you'll see the very still like the skeleton from your health class like getting carried around to a stop motion skeleton, and then all of a sudden it turns a corner and now it's a person in a skeleton unitard
in a hand with
like
with
yeah. And it's just like this has changed hands so many times in the last 4 seconds, but
I mean, there's only so much you can do with the skeleton, especially back then. I mean, that movie. Let's see. I don't even know what year it came out in. I think it was like
92.
Yeah.
92.
Wow.
Earlier.
That's
90s.
bold, by the way.
Yeah,
Going
so-
92, still doing that kind of stop motion is actually pretty bold.
probably
It is.
one
It's
of
crazy.
the last. Yeah.
Because I mean, well, the one I just kind of mentioned, the staple is the Matrix, and that came out in was it 99 or 2000?
No, it was definitely. I was still in high school, so it was. I think it was like 99, 98. 99.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even think of, I mean, and this is actually kind of going a slightly different direction. Think of the original Toy Story, the first Toy Story. And you think about when that came out, and then you think about the visuals in this. And now, don't get me wrong, like, I'm saying all this with an extreme sense of, like, endearment to this movie. I love this movie. But you can definitely see, like, the difference from, like, the 90s, where you saw a lot of really big progression between even the practical effects. Like, you had Steven Spielberg coming out with a lot of really...
Well, Jurassic
Big
Park
movies.
came out the next year, which
Yeah.
is like the game changer for computer effects.
Yeah. So you think about a year later, you had Jurassic Park, and you have this. Again, I say this with endearment.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the budgets. I'm pretty sure the budgets were slightly different.
I mean, just
Even
a couple $100 here or there, whatever.
But like, it was still really fun to watch
Yeah.
what they accomplished with Army of Darkness, and you can almost say they did that on purpose. Like, because even the setting alone, if you think about it, really imitates some of those classic fantasy movies.
oh yeah, I don't think there's any almost about it. I think it's 100%
Yeah.
on purpose.
Like
They-
the Conan,
I'm
Conan.
sure-
and,
Yeah, I'm sure there were parts that they filmed and they watched and they're like, you know what? This looks a little too good. Let's dial this back a little bit. Can we shake the skeleton a little harder and make them look even more awkward?
Or probably one of the best ones is where he opened like the option of the 3 Necronomicons, and he opens the one, he gets sucked in, and like you see his arms and fingers stretching out. He pulls out, his face is all like elongated. Like, it's just
Especially
one of
his
those.
chin. That
Yeah.
wonderful
That-
chin.
yeah, the Bruce Campbell chin that you have now made a larger than than it ever could be before.
I mean, well, considering that their budget was $11 million and they made $11,500,000
Oh, wow.
on their total
That's-
domestic.
That's cut the line razor thin right there.
Hey.
That's considered not a success.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that's not even including their marketing department. So I don't know how much money
Yeah, I
they
don't
spent in
think so.
marketing. Probably not much.
Yeah.
But yeah, compared to Jurassic Park a year later, had a $63 million budget. So that's still pretty close for
Yeah.
budgets as far as. I
11
mean,
million, 63 million. I mean,
only
What-
$50 million off.
what can you really do differently with $50 million?
I just want to point out it grossed over $1 billion.
Oh my god.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why there's so many of them now.
Right, and there's not many Army of
Well,
Darkness.
I mean,
Now there's Ash versus.
there's 3 with a show.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park has 4. So, it's kind of neck and neck. Like,
Yeah, well, they're about to come out with another one, so.
yeah, Jurassic World 2 will be coming out soon. But right now it's pretty
Well, I
neck and
mean,
neck.
I
we
believe
got,
it's called
we're on-
Jurassic Universe. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're on their 3rd season now of Ash vs. Evil. They just finished their 2nd, right?
Season 2 is now done, and they're getting ready to I'm sure they're already working on or filming season 3.
So I don't know if you want to count those as movies, but you've got
Well,
2
when
whole
season-
seasons.
Yeah, but if you add up the number of minutes, it's still more minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, a season could definitely be classified as a
Ash
movie
is
in
more
itself.
popular than Jurassic Park T-Rex.
Yep. Oh,
Oh,
the T-Rex specifically.
that's right.
That's, I mean,
It's on the cover.
Yeah, until you look at it from the consumer standpoint, and it's like number of hours watched by human beings.
yeah, that's way skewed. I mean, I love me some Jurassic Park, but I've watched Evil Dead so many times.
Yeah. Versus the number of children who have seen Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love me Jurassic Park. And I'll say this right now. I know we're actually kind of diverting away from Army of Darkness. Jurassic World actually was a lot of fun. I know there's like criticism on like, and there's completely some of them are very, very valid.
Sure we're going off topic a little bit, but I think at this point, I mean, you always have the first viewing of a wonderfully bad movie that you kind of walk out of or turn off, and you just kind of go,
What was that?
I don't know if I liked that or not. Like, you're not walking away being like, this movie sucked, or this movie was great. You're almost confused a little bit. But then you get to the point where you go back and you watch it all these years later.
From the
Whatever nostalgia
reason.
that it's collecting dust in a box or whatever, you decide to pick it up again. Somebody mentioned it, and then you realize, like, you go back and rewatch these, just all these doors that it opens, and you just, as you watch this, it makes you think of, oh man, imagine
You
this.
see the more jokes.
Imagine this in this movie, or whatever. Like, imagine them using the same style of practical effects and stuff from Army of Darkness in Jurassic Park. Like, they just have a giant like stick T-Rex that somebody's like shaking and like just
Bruh.
like it is a guy behind a tree going grrr,
I'm sorry,
arr.
I don't know why. All I could picture was literally the like shot for shot of the T-Rex, but using the T-Rex from Toy Story.
Like
It's terrifying.
you just like drop it on the roof of the car and the
Yeah.
kids are like, ah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The only thing I would say in counter to that, though, when I watched Big Trouble in Little China, I immediately knew it was a bad movie, but I loved every second. So
Yeah.
that's my only counterpoint to that.
Yeah, it goes from a poker game to mystical, like a mystical being.
It takes a turn. It takes
like in less than not even 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
But that's the beauty of the 80s and 90s, I feel like, because they get to they admit flat out that it is not going to make sense, like to why you got from the opening to like what's happening.
I think it was a lot more about just having fun, having a good time, and that's why you got a lot. I'm sure as we go through and we continue on our wonderfully bad movies, most of them are going to be from the 80s and 90s.
I mean,
Because that was a time of let's make a
Experiment.
movie for fun.
Yeah,
Like,
Let's experiment with something really
let's
new.
throw money at some a comedian who wants to make his own movie.
Yeah.
Like here's an example. Crawl.
Yeah.
How many people?
I literally have never watched Scroll.
Oh man,
yeah.
you need to watch it. We'll
Yeah.
talk. We'll definitely probably talk about it during a Wonderfully Bad because it's a movie that obviously is still very serious in nature. It's not meant to be a comedy, but it is like a sci-fi fantasy merged together with a higher like more lean toward the fantasy. But it's really bizarre, and the whole point of it is based around this 5-bladed boomerang that this guy uses, and it's like one of the strongest weapons known in existence, and he just throws it at stuff and things die, and there's a cyclops in it, there's a giant spider realm, there's a blind wizard that ends up finding another like doppelganger wizard, and there's like in a swamp. It goes off the rails. It's completely bizarre, totally weird, but it's such a great movie, and I'm sure we'll actually like this one movie I actually do want to talk about a lot. It's such a fun movie. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I would even say as far back as like the 70s to the very early 90s, there was a lot of experimentation going on with what you could do in a movie. Kind of the fun, even like you can think about it, like I'm not even just talking about from the practical effects.
Well, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug. But even like some of what they wanted to do inside the stories. I mean, you think of some of those classic westerns. Why were those westerns so good, and why is it like the new Magnificent Seven, for some reason, just couldn't really capture the same thing as the Yul Brynner version? Like, I liked the new Magnificent Seven. I thought it was a great movie. But if you try to like take the Yul Brynner Magnificent Seven, you put them side by side,
Which is also a remake.
Yeah.
Seven Samurai was the original.
Well, and that oh man, that was really good.
Which was a huge base for.
I can't watch Kurosawa.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
And Seven Samurai was a huge
very
base
difficult.
for the way they did the Defenders. So
Yeah.
just, full circle, guys. Like,
Yeah.
everything just keeps rotating out. And that's what's really weird about a lot of these movies and a lot of our Wonderfully Bad and the stuff that we're going to love and talk about from the 80s and 90s and all that stuff is I think you almost want to say they're out of time, but I think all these movies are destined to never succeed when they are new. I mean, even
Because they're either too early for the humor, or too not right in the time.
I mean, I
frame.
don't even know if it's necessarily that. I think it's just there's just a inner like people are not gonna like these movies when they come out. Because even right now, we're talking about Army of Darkness, how much we enjoyed it, how much we love that movie. We understand that it is a bad movie, but we've watched it hundreds of times. We're going to keep watching it hundreds of times. Even if that movie came out today, I still think it'd get a lot of hate. I still think it would fail in theaters. It wouldn't do well. People would blow it up all over the internet and all that stuff. But then 10, 15, 20 years from now, people would be looking back and be like, oh man, that's such a fun movie. It's also, I think
I mean, honestly, even though Anchorman was like a huge success, when Anchorman originally came out, like so many people hated it.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
they did not like it. They didn't understand it. And then like even though as it's still in theaters, like people are starting to go back and watch it a second or third time, and they started quoting it on a daily basis.
Yep.
It's like it kind of just gets in your brain and it like attaches itself to
I think
you.
that's what these films are destined for. But then, I mean, like you said, it does just kind of go full circle around, and these things like build bases for movies in the future and stuff that's going to go on. And I think they are just this style of movie, whatever we can call it, because it carries across so many different genres. The horror comedies, the straight comedies, the slapsticks, whatever. But whatever this the Wonderfully Bad genre of movies, I feel like they will always be destined to fail when they release. And then it's the nostalgia factor of going back and rewatching and getting sucked in again.
Well, even going back and talking about Sharknado, like there is a place in culture for these kinds of movies because they keep releasing new ones because it costs nothing to make it.
Oh yeah.
Actors are just having fun. They're not really taking it seriously.
Yeah, it's not super serious. And I get screamed at by directors every 5 minutes. It's like, oh, you screwed up. You know what?
Okay,
it's funny.
find someone
cool.
else.
Let's keep
You're
it. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, the other thing about it is, I think also once people start getting away from the grading it, like for example, when a movie comes to theater, you have certain expectations, right? You want it to be, is it going to be really good characters? Right. You try to equate it to movies like the Lord of the Rings trilogy or those really
or Dark Knight.
Right? You think of these big movies and you want them to have all these different elements, and so you're like, is is this award worthy? Essentially, is what you go for. And so when you go into a movie and you see that it's not even close to that, there's a lot of sense of disappointment. But when you finally get away from where, like, oh man, I want to watch this movie again, and you're not worried about, like, is this going to be worth my quote unquote money? Essentially,
Well, I mean,
and
yeah,
you watch it just for the sheer, I just want to enjoy this movie.
Well, I think
You end up finding out you actually love it.
that's why these movies that are being made that are wonderfully bad now are not made by studio. Like, this movie was made by MGM. Like, A, MGM doesn't exist anymore, and B, the fact that studios won't ever back. They're interested in making their $1 billion back. They're not interested in making some crappy movie.
Yeah, and one of the biggest way they're doing that is, like Joe just stated, it is awards. I mean, look at, when you see a lot of these, even these trailers and stuff that come out, half the trailer is, this actor's name, Golden Globe nominee, Golden Globe winner, 2-time Golden Globe winner, written by Golden Globe nominee, this person, and then, like, you'll have, 30 seconds of the trailer be a list of all the awards that everybody involved in this film has won. Like, that's everybody's primary focus right now, because that's probably like a huge source of revenue for them, is getting onto the Emmys or the Tonys or the Oscars or whatever, and even getting nominated. It gets you stated, and it gets you all this income and money, and
then you get your next project that's going to be a bigger project, ideally.
Yeah, and so you take a movie like Army of Darkness, which we love to death. It's not going to be a Tony winner. It's not going to win Oscars. There's not going to be nominations for it. It's not going to be this huge pocket swiller for the people that are involved, but it is going to be fun, and people are going to enjoy it.
I mean, has Sam Raimi he's dropped out of making movies now, right? Or is he?
Well, I mean, he's a
producer, but he's not directing movies anymore.
Him and his brother, Sam and Ted Raimi, both kind of unilaterally work on a lot of stuff together, and it'll kind of go back and forth as to whose name they'll put on stuff. But I mean, like, they both worked on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans.
Right.
I know Sam Raimi is hugely involved in the Ash vs. Evil Dead show. He is the lead director on it. Yeah, Sam and Ted Raimi usually are always working together. And I don't know why they will choose to only put Sam's name on some stuff and Ted's name on others. But they're almost never listed as both, like said and Ted Raimi or any of that kind of stuff.
Right, it's not like the brother duo,
like the Wachowski brothers or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, the newest ones are the brothers doing the Captain America movies. Like, the Russo brothers are
yeah, and then you also have like the Coen brothers and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you'll never see them listed as like the Raimi brothers or any of that kind of stuff. It's always either Sam Raimi or Ted Raimi, produced, directed. And yeah, I know they are doing the new. Sam Raimi is doing the Ash vs. Evil Dead show, which is awesome.
Oh man, if there's a binge-worthy show, watch yourself some Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
You know I'm not Mexican, right? Oh man.
But no, I mean,
see, like, so this is what he's doing now. Because if you look now, he's more producing more shows than he is directing. He's not really interested in directing anymore. I think after his entire experience with Oz and the Powerful,
That's right.
I think I liked that movie. It was not that bad. It's a little long, but the movie itself was not a bad movie.
Well,
So,
we can go ahead and wrap it on this fun note. I went way deep in the internet to IMDb. I don't know if you guys have ever been to this dark side of the internet. It's really hard to find.
dark web, really.
So apparently the story is Sam Raimi originally wanted to call the film The Medieval Dead, but Universal Studios, who is the one that has it, refused. The title Army of Darkness was created by Irvin
Shapiro.
Shapiro. He is the uncredited producer of The Evil Dead and the executive producer of Evil Dead 2. He died 2 years before this film was made. So Raimi then wanted to naturally give it the title Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness. But Universal Studios refused. They wanted the film to stand out on its own from the rest of the series, and the film was just titled Army of Darkness. However, the film is called Army of Darkness, The Medieval Dead in UK. So he did still get his little poke in right there. Still got that Medieval Dead.
little.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that can wrap up our first little, what we can call a mini pod for our wonderfully bad movie of the week.
I like the next one, or two down from that. First and last studio film Bruce Campbell starred in as the lead.
Very nice. Yeah, so that's our wonderfully bad movie. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. It will be a little bit shorter than our normal shows. Let us know, if you want to do 2 half shows during the week. Comment this. Let us know what you guys want.
Appreciate your time.
And feel free to share and subscribe to the YouTube channel that we created as well.
And send us cookies. Cookies are good.